It is February 13th, 2015, and I was just describing Mike Tancer and why I believe he chose to wear what he was wearing as a lure to have me strike up conversation. And as I say, his reasoning would be that as a government person who has access to information about me, the individual that he was actually dressing like was someone from New Jersey. So this was someone from a different area of the country that that he was imitating, and possibly, I'm not sure, but possibly connected to the Tabos, who are another government family that is connected to U.S. government. And I worked for them as a nanny when I was younger, but prior to that, I knew them as a kid, and I knew that they worked for the government. So, at any rate, he came up very close to me, and I saw him, and I said something like, you know, aren't you afraid your toes are going to be stepped on? Kind of joking. I'd already had a drink or two. I paid for all my own drinks whenever I went dancing, pretty much. I didn't typically accept drinks from other people, offers from other people to pay for a drink, unless it just seemed like a really social thing or a nice gesture. But like if a guy offered to buy me a drink, a lot of times I just say no thanks, because I didn't want him to think that if he's buying me a drink, I'm interested in him and that was why I was there. So a couple of times, Mike Tancer, as the evening progressed, he actually offered to buy me some drinks, and I turned him down on all of it. And so basically, my record of drinks was on my own credit card, and then of course there were a couple of free drinks because of this Bacardi sponsored thing that was going on. So I was brought maybe 2 drinks through this free Bacardi thing, and like strong rum drinks. And then prior to that, I had bought my own drinks, and I had paid for at least 2 drinks on my own. So from what I remember, I probably had about 4 drinks, which was actually a lot for me. And I didn't worry about it because I figured Erica Ballinger's driving. She's staying sober enough, and she's going to be driving me home. And I didn't think about the fact, I didn't even remember what she had done to me with Robin. You know, she said, yeah, she was going to be the ride, and then after I'd had a couple drinks, which then was my over my limit then, you know, she had some guy driving me home instead, Robin, who raped me. So I had these drinks, and then Mike had put himself into my view or whatever. And after I made this comment, then he decided he wanted to dance. So then he started dancing next to me, and then I noticed I noticed that while he was dancing, I didn't want him to do some of the things he was doing, because he was getting down really low, like low to the ground, and trying to kiss my stomach. And I wasn't really comfortable with that. I didn't want someone really touching my stomach or getting close to my stomach or pelvic area, you know, in a public place like that. I wasn't like a dirty dancer who, you know, wanted public attention. So he was a very good dancer when he was dancing normally. So actually then I felt slightly, even though I'd been drinking, I kind of felt slightly charmed, because I could recognize that he knew how to dance, or he knew how to lead, and I thought he was a good dancer. But when he was doing this other thing, you know, and that was when he was standing upright and dancing normally. Maybe possibly doing some kind of a South American dance. But when he was doing this thing next to my stomach, I noticed him looking over and up to an area in the room. And so I turned around and looked, and there was this balcony area where people could go. And it was, I think kind of like a VIP section. And there was a whole group of people around his age, and they were just staring at me, and they had these horrible, horrible expressions on their faces. I mean, I felt like I was staring at the devil's group, you know? It was like full of young adults my age, a little bit younger, and maybe a few a little older, who were looking down on me like with this hatred and almost excitement, like satisfaction and sarcasm, hatred, anger, kind of a sadistic relished sense of triumph. I don't know how to describe it. The whole collection of their expressions and the vibe that I got from them was altogether very bad. And I thought, why is this person who's dancing here looking over at them like he's getting their approval, or they know each other? And I kind of thought maybe they're trying to make fun of me, like he's doing this and he is attempting to degrade me or humiliate me, and his group over there is just really getting off on it. And then of course I second guessed myself again and thought maybe I'm overreacting, but definitely know that they had the expressions and the attitudes that they had. And so basically he was doing that, and then after he stood upright and was dancing normally, I kind of forgot about what this other group was like, and one questioning why he was doing what he was doing. And then after that, I danced more with Erica. Well, then Erica Ballinger started to get kind of weird. She started acting like she was lesbian. You know, I mean, I danced with women and men just kind of like socially, and it wasn't a big deal, but she started acting like kind of sexual, like women sexual. And so then that was really weird. And I mean, I kind of danced with her because she was this old friend, I thought, but felt kind of uncomfortable with how she was really like kind of going at me like in a weird, like seductive way. And so but you know, I kind of kept a little bit of a distance and tried to play it off, just thinking, oh, she just had a lot to drink. And then and I hadn't had all of my drinks at that time. I had a couple more after I had danced with Mike. And that was when they had the Bacardi people were offering these different free drinks, or Erica Ballinger brought me one, something like that. And so I drank a little more, and then we were going to go and leave for the night. So I had to stand in line to, she had to pick up her tab, her card, and I had left my card over there too, and I was going to pick it up as well. And then I picked up my card, but for some reason I had accidentally left my license there or something. I got my credit card, but I forgot to get my driver's license. And at the time when I was standing there in line, Mike asked me if I would go home with him. And he said, why don't we go home? And I said, he said, why don't you go home with me and whatever. And he said, and I said, oh, I don't do that kind of thing. And then he said, well, we could just talk. He said we could just talk, and we don't have to do anything really serious. We don't, you know. And I said, well, I wouldn't have sex with you. Um, and he said, well, no. He said, just anyway. He kept going on, and then I just said, no, I'm going with Erica, with my friend here. So I told him no, and I got my stuff, and I was leaving. I was almost out the door, and then I turned around and looked because I sensed that he was still looking at me. And when I turned around and looked, he had this almost this look of hatred towards me. And so why, if he looked like he hated me, why would I then reconsider and think of going back and saying, okay, I'll go with you? And I think that it had something to do with government stuff crap again. You know, with like if one of these adult men looked really mad at me, um, and I had offended them or something, that they looked really mad, I was supposed to um, make them feel better, or else, you know, I'd get in trouble. And not quite sure, but it was kind of the same old thing. And when I went, so I did leave the building with Erica, and was getting into the car and everything, and then I realized, unfortunately, that my driver's license was still back there. So I went back in there on my own, and he was there still, and that's when he had this kind of look again. And then with this look, you know, who knows exactly what it was, but this look and maybe something else that he did that was a trigger or signal that I'm not even aware of, because they did so many weird government things with me. I'm not sure I even knew about all the things they did. But I walked back over to him and said, okay, well, maybe I will if but I do not want to have any kind of sex, and we just talk. Maybe we could kiss a little bit, but I wouldn't want to do anything more than that. And if you could only promise me that, then I would go. Then I'll go with you. And if you can give me a ride, because I have to work tomorrow, because I had a job. And so he said, yes, yes, of course. And I believed him. It wasn't like some kind of like tentative way to go home with him or something like that. It wasn't with my intention to have a one-night stand either. And I thought that I had made it very clear about that. So then I said, okay, well, I have to go tell my friend Erica. And the other thing is that, you know, she was acting so lesbianish towards me. I was feeling kind of weird with her, which I think was another contributing factor. Is kind of like, I kind of wondered if she had specifically done that to make me feel uncomfortable, you know, about getting a ride with her home maybe, or something. And so so then when I was outside and I was telling her that I was going to go with Mike, she then put on this huge act, and I thought it was real. I really did think it was real at first. She kept saying no, and she kept pulling on me and saying no, you can't, and acted distressed and everything. And then she started saying some different things that I think were also triggers, and I finally said, you're not my mother. She kept trying to say these really controlling things, like I don't know, it just triggered this old response from me that I had when I was a kid, like a little girl. And she really did do a good job of making it look like, oh, she was so concerned, and like she was trying to protect me. And I think that it was just a whole ruse, because she already knew that she was guilty of premeditating to have Robin Bechtold rape me. So I think she wanted to make it look like, oh, she wasn't responsible for doing the same thing to me again. Or of knowing that Mike was going to be there, who she already knew, and acted like she didn't know when we were there, and setting me up to start with. So, and the reason why I finally figured out, and then in hindsight and thinking about it, that this was the case is because when I was looking to a different direction or whatever, I looked back and I saw that she was looking directly at Mike, and they were both smirking at each other, like, and they'd always known each other, and they had always known each other. You know, they'd known each other since they were kids.